Okay, so today we're going to be repairing this iPhone XS that is in this box here. Now, it's already partially disassembled because the battery needed to be removed. So, let's go ahead and first of all, we're going to have to put the Taptic engine back in because that has to go in before the battery. And you can see all the other parts that I have laid out here. These are just brackets for the iPhone, and this is the new earpiece speaker. Now, yes, that means we'll lose Face ID, but it's better than not having an earpiece speaker. There are also some screws in here, but I'll keep them organized. And of course, in the iPhone itself, we have the new battery, the new display, oh, the body of the iPhone, the new display adhesive, and in this bag here, the new display, which is a OEM display. So, the first thing we have to do is put this back in. This is always an annoying step, but has to be done. Now, to do this, I'll be following iFixit's guide, but when taking the phone apart, you can sometimes do it without a guide. It's just easier to do it with a guide. So, iPhone XS. Now, Martin says, gotta zoom in more. So, the iPhone XS battery is generally a pretty easy repair to do. I mean, the iPhone X series are the most annoying of all the iPhones to repair, just because of that double-layered logic board that can easily be damaged. But I don't think that's going to be an issue here. The biggest issue with this repair currently The biggest issue with this repair currently is the earpiece speaker was already broken, and replacing that removes Face ID functionality. Now, yes, you could have desoldered it and soldered on a new earpiece speaker, keeping the light array, but that is beyond the scope of this repair, as it is not meant to be the perfect repair. It is a refurbished phone, and Face ID already wasn't working anyway, so the chances of it fixing it were quite low. Now, so based on iFix's guide, I'm just going to skip to the end here, where they removed the Taptic engine. Yep. Oh, that's annoying. So this side comes out separately from this side. Now this is the bottom speaker of the phone, which also came out during the repair. So let's zoom in to this iPhone down here. So this is the Taptic engine and speaker combination. And this has to be put back into the phone, but first have the terrible glue removed. The Taptic engine is, of course, the best part of any iPhone because it creates those incredible high-quality vibrations that really make the experience premium. So it's important that we don't damage that at all during this repair. Now, which two screws does it use for the Taptic engine? They are Phillips. Those are definitely not the screws. It's these ones. Apparently also not these ones. This looks more like it. These will be moved over here for later. These. This. And of course the two bottom screws, which are the easiest to identify. These three I need now. And then I can just store the box elsewhere. So, let's see what we can do here with this. So, now the Taptic engine is plugged back in, we just need to grab the appropriate screws to these two 1.9mm ones. And place them into the phone. And now put the speaker grill back into the phone. I'm gonna have to remove that adhesive. And of course, just plug the speaker back in now. And lay the adhesive down so it stays still, and now we just have to get the appropriate screws for that one. So those screws are, now, West Australian history says I'm late, don't worry. Not much has really happened, I'm just putting this iPhone back together. It was already disassembled. Now, these screws belong display here. It's another 1.9mm screw that side. Now these screws are so tight that you only need to turn the screwdriver halfway for them to be fully in. You don't have to over tighten them at all. The rest of them are just the covers. So, where did I put those covers? In the box, okay. That is display connector cover. Where are the rest of the covers gone? I totally lost the covers, and this was not planned at all. Let's see. I'm gonna look back at the live stream because that would actually show me where it went. Here. They exist. So where did I put them? And I now realize the possibility of me swiping them off the table with my arm is extremely high. So I'm gonna go look for them. No, this is not for a client. This is a refurbished phone. And yes, if the customer of this refurbished phone looks up this live stream, they can absolutely see what's wrong with it. Basically, the problems are that it won't have Face ID. And other than that, it should be working perfectly before I sell it to them. Aside from, Face ID not working because of it already being broken, and I can't fix that. Um, and at the moment, the SIM card reader isn't working, but I'd like to see if I can fix that before selling the phone. So I'm just going to have a look to see if the covers fell on the ground. It doesn't look like they did. I am honestly shocked. Where did the covers stop existing? What if I screen share? Share screen. Here. So if I go back to here, you can see covers are there. I'm not crazy. And then they're gone. So which direction did I move my arm to get rid of them? And they're gone. Okay, so they went that way. That's a good clue. That is a good clue. I totally found one of them on the ground. Doesn't matter because it's just a singular piece of metal. So let's put this back where it should go on the phone. So this one goes here. These are difficult to line up, but once you get them, shouldn't be too much of an issue. Okay. So, that is a 1.8 millimeter screw. Actually, I'll just screen share as well. So you can see what I'm looking at. There is a 1.8 millimeter Phillips screw here and a 1.7 millimeter Phillips screw here. So, let's find these screws. Those are the 1 millimeter screws. I now realize that that is definitely a 1 millimeter screw and should not be in there. Good thing I noticed that now and not later. That is not meant to be in there. I mean, perfect. There are lots of those 1 millimeter screws. Okay, so this is the 1.8. This is another one. Yep, that doesn't go in all the way, so that means that one definitely... This one definitely belongs in here. If I can get it lined up on the screwdriver, it would be wonderful. Okay. It's magic. What's magical? Magnets. You can find... Oh, where's the magnetic piece here? Magnets are magical. You can lift up the bottom half of the phone. Great. Magnets are absolutely the best invention of all time. Now let's grab the appropriate screw, which should be this one. Actually, it's definitely going to be this one. How many of each screw are there? There are two 1.3, one 1 millimeter, one 1.7, one 1.8. Okay. That is the wrong screw. That goes there. And this other one is the yellow 1.7. Okay. There, and now for the painful part, I have to find that other cover that's gone missing. This screw won't seem to line up either. However, that can be easily fixed. What screw is that meant to be? 1.7, okay. That's probably not a 1.7. That's a 1.7. These screws are not exactly the easiest to deal with if I can get the camera to focus on that, which it probably won't. But this is why using a screw tray that's from the beginning is important, because otherwise you will lose track of these screws and it will be a lot of effort. Now on the inside of the iPhone, it's lucky because there are only two on the outside. If you're on an iMac and you put the wrong screws into the logic board, you will permanently dent the outside of the iMac. So it is important to keep track of these screws depending on the repair. Don't put the wrong screws in, you can damage things. Now on this iPhone here, you can actually see pain marks here because the battery pull tabs broke and I had to get the battery out using alternate methods. WA History asks, just curious, what cameras and gear are you using to record this stream? So, I love that question because I love cameras. This is a Canon 200D with a 24 2.8 lens. Unfortunately, it's not as high quality as it could be because it's going over USB into my computer. I could have used a capture card, but that just seems a bit not worth the effort for a small square in the corner. It can look better than this though. This is just not a situation where the top quality is required for an internet stream. Now, more interestingly, the top-down camera is the ultra-wide on my iPhone, connected to my MacBook using continuity camera. Now, I had to mount it up there very awkwardly, which is why it looks like the way it does. I could have mounted it better, which I will do for future streams. I will mount it better, but for now, It's the ultra wide. This is the very corner of the ultra wide that you're seeing here. I zoomed in on it a bit. Um, Now that I know that I have to zoom in on it more for the stream, I will definitely do that. What other gear am I using? So there is the Ceramonic VMic Mini as a microphone. I have the Shure SM7B, not SM7 over here, but I can't currently use it as I don't have the audio interface and all my stands are too weak to hold it up because it is a very heavy microphone. It's over here, you can see it's out of frame now. And then this light, it's a very nice light. It's a aperture, oh, I believe it's a aperture 100D, and it's got a softbox from Amazon on it. And then it's all running into my MacBook Air M1, which is then streaming it to YouTube for you. Um, yeah, that is all the camera gear, actually. There's not that much of it. The phone is held up using a microphone boom arm, which has an adapter to a tripod, which has a ball mount on it, which has a phone adapter on it. The camera is on the random tripod I found in the garage. This whole setup will be improved upon, however, it's important when streaming to actually just start because otherwise you'd never actually do anything and you just waste time buying more gear. So, what is the next step here? It is to find the piece that I dropped before that I now cannot find, which is very, very frustrating. Um, how does one lose a piece from the inside of a phone? I do not know. I do not know. I found a wireless charger. On a completely unrelated note, there is a wireless charger here. Don't have a use for it right now, but it's here. There's also a total possibility that now I'm sure this is very comedic, but I genuinely cannot find the cover for that part of the phone. However, I will find it before actually selling the phone. But for now, I'm just going to continue with the repair without it because it's a cover. It's not the most necessary thing in the world. So let's continue, and I will add that back in later. Um, oh look, someone says Ryan. Hello, Xenon. Um, yeah. So, what is the next step on iFixit? WA History says very comedic. Yes, yes. Don't worry, I'll find it. There's nowhere it could have gone except this desk because it was here. Um, yeah. So the next step is installing the battery. Now for that, I'm gonna need some glue because this battery, I mean, it's a good battery, but doesn't have glue. So let's get some glue. I also have another adhesive for an iPhone 10 display in stock, but that's not necessary right now. So, glue. How do you install the battery? You put the glue down, you put the battery in, then you wait. Now there's still adhesive here, and should I remove that? Yes, absolutely. I will get as much of it as possible off. However, It's not worth spending a million years on, and I'm not going to risk pouring alcohol or acetone in here and damaging any of the internal components in the phone, considering that it will work currently. And if I pour any kind of glue remover, it could possibly stop the phone from working. And functionality with a millimeter extra glue is better than a non-functional phone without the glue, at least in most people's opinions. So let's just keep removing this glue using the tweezers. This is a very painful process, not satisfying at all. I wish the glue was tougher and it would let you actually use the pull tabs to remove it, but you know. Okay, how's the stream looking? I'm gonna move my camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. Zoom in a bit. Okay, still need more zoom. So, am I able to control continuity camera? No, I'm not. Okay. When I am able to control continuity camera, properly, the quality will improve. This is actually beta software on both the phone and the MacBook. So this is currently a beta bug. If you're interested in my iOS 17 beta experience, which I did mention in another YouTube short and TikTok, there are currently lots of bugs. It is extremely buggy. One of them is that I am unable to switch out of the ultra-wide camera when using continuity camera. It's very frustrating. I believe it's because I started screen sharing inside of OBS, and macOS refuses to acknowledge that I've stopped screen sharing inside of OBS. If I didn't have to digitally zoom in on the ultra-wide, I'm sure the quality would be a lot better, because it's an ultra-wide, you're not meant to be looking at it up close, but here we are. It gets the job done. Now, this is my first stream, so let me know if there are any issues, aside from the image quality, which I know about. Um, is How's it looking? Is it lagging? Are there frames dropping? Let me know. Toothbrushes are both a great and terrible way to clean your electronics. They're not anti-static, however, they are extremely useful. I would recommend picking up an anti-static brush, though. If it was a customer job, I absolutely would use an anti-static brush, not a toothbrush, because this is just it's not safe, really. Like it can like on the metal here, it's fine. However, it could 100% short out the components. The glue should not take much longer. I've removed most of it now. I'm not going to put as much effort into these other ones, to be honest. It's really not worth my time at this point. So I'm just going to put the new glue on now. This is the new glue. It is, I mean, it is glue. It's not, there's nothing really to it, to be honest with you. Yeah, so I did find with this glue, I actually used it to put my speaker back together, my Bluetooth speaker, because that thing kind of fell apart. And I took it apart after it began to fall apart. So, after it began to fall apart. So, this is not the approved method of putting glue on, by the way. It's meant to be in a nice pattern. But, to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter. Glue's gonna hold it in. As long as it holds, you're golden. So, there is our beautiful new glue application. Going to put the lid back on the glue because we do not want this to dry out. Okay, don't let your glue dry out. Seriously, it's way too easy to let your glue dry out. So now, once we put the battery in, it's going to take about, well, it's not going to pop out, but normally it takes about 2 minutes to set and 48 hours to dry fully. So, once we put this in, there is no going back. Luckily, everything else except for that bracket, which doesn't interfere with the battery at all, is already in place. So, let's plonk it down there, and we're good to go. That's perfect. Okay, so next thing after removing battery is the display. So here is the new display in a nice bag. It is a Apple genuine display, which is very good. However, I would like to note that it came out of the packaging with this on it, like that broken. Now, I do not know if this is going to affect the display. However, that's why we will test it before giving it to a customer. Normally on refurbished phones, I would use an LCD because they're more cost effective, and the people buying refurbished phones, to be honest, don't really care. But this one, I'd like to test the actual quality. That's why I'm making such an important note of this on the back. I'm testing the quality of these brand new displays to make sure they are what they say they are. And it looks, I'm surprised by the damage. Now, let's go take a look at the earpiece to make sure we can get that installed as well, because that's kind of important. Make sure the battery stays disconnected for now. So, how much does the screen cost? I would have to double check that. So, I'll just screen share our website for you. Yep. So, a display replacement on an iPhone XS or 10 series we would charge $354. You may be like, that's more than Apple. Yes, well, we use the same parts, brand new, but we get it to you much quicker. And more importantly, if you're local, you don't have to drive to an Apple store. So, that's why the pricing is the way it is. Top down scene. Okay. Now the earpiece. This is the most annoying part, to be honest with you. You have to get this lined up perfectly. Now, if I am very careful in looking at this, there is no current protective film over the Face ID. You got to make sure of that. If there is, it might block Face ID. I mean, Face ID is already broken, so that's not an issue here. The connectors of the display all look fine. So, this is always the most annoying part. I don't like this at all. You got to first remove the paper. It's very scary. Now, where is the original display for this phone? I believe there is meant to be one more piece that is brought over. Just have to grab the original display. Hmm. No, I should have kept it somewhere easy to grab. Okay, now there's another part of this that is currently on the original display that I'll have to grab. Basically, it will just, if you see there, there's the speaker. Basically, there's another part that needs to go onto the back at the top here, and it will funnel the sound from the speaker here into the speaker grill on the phone, which is at a 90-degree angle. So, I will have to grab that display, and I do not know where I put it. It's somewhere on one of these shelves. It'd be absolutely hilarious if I lost it. I know I didn't, but yeah. You can see here how the earpiece speaker is meant to go in. Oh, there might not actually be an extra piece necessary. I thought something was a bit off with that there. So you can see there, those go in like that, into those two screws there. That's how you plug in the earpiece speaker. Now, rest in peace Face ID, but this is just something that we have to do. So, of all the things that I didn't grab from the old display, I didn't think it would be the screws from here that I would need. Okay. The screws are still on the old display, I believe, which is kind of frustrating, because now I have to find that old display. And I didn't want to do that, but I'm going to have to. So, if you look here, you can see I've lined these up perfectly, but the screws to go here and here are not currently on there. So, I'm going to have to grab the old display. Question is, where did I put it? Not here, not here, not here, not here. Yeah, definitely not. Maybe? Doubt it. I should have left it with the phone. This is why I keep all customer jobs in one place at all times. I do not remove any of it. Even the older parts are all kept together until the device is absolutely 100% repaired and completed and ready for collection. I will not Like this is my own property, right? So it just kind of goes everywhere. But these boxes here are so good for organization. You can put absolutely everything from a phone repair in there. That's what I do for customer jobs. It's very, very good to have a proper organization system. There's plenty of room in these for screws, parts, just everything you could need. Highly recommend good quality parts trays. Definitely worth it. There's the iFixit one over here, which is, I mean, it's okay if you're temporarily doing something, but if you want to store something, it's very important to have a proper system for that. Yeah, let's find that display. That is a surprise that I cannot find the display. Now, for reference, the display on this phone before was absolutely total. There were lightsabers down the middle. So, it is no surprise that we are replacing it. It is a surprise that I don't have the screws. What sort of screws are on? So, what is the next step? Well, it is to grab the display. However, I believe it's time for a quick recess. Um, I will answer any questions you have. Um, Send them, and I will be back shortly. Okay, so um water is important while streaming. I've learned that I should prepare that. Now, normally it would not be this chaotic during a repair. However, learning to stream and repairing a phone, which is the most difficult phone to repair at the same time, is quite difficult, it turns out. So, for the sake of this repair, and getting the stream finished, I'm not going to connect the earpiece yet. Why? Because when a phone is boot looping, the first thing you do is disconnect the earpiece, see if it boots without it, which means the phone will boot without this earpiece. So, the main purpose of this stream was to test this display. Now, I want to see if this display works, and to be honest, I don't really care about the earpiece. We know that that's brand new, um, and I mean, this was meant to be brand new, but displays are a lot less reliable than earpieces because they're expensive. So I believe that testing this is the number one goal currently, and I want to see that it works. So I'm just going to first plug the battery in, then plug the display in. Now I want to note, normally, if it is at all possible, you will unplug, you will always unplug the battery before you touch the display connectors. If it's possible, do not touch the display connectors while the battery is connected to the phone, as it can cause shorts. You do not want your phone shorting out. So, I'm just going to make sure 100% which is which connector. So, yeah, the earpiece one goes at the top, then these ones go down here. So, connect that one like a Lego. That's jerry rig everything. I watch a lot of jerry rig everything. I'm just got to connect this next one the same way. I'll turn it that way so it's easier for you to see. As you can see, the battery is unplugged during this process because realistically, you want the battery to be unplugged for as much of the repair as possible. So, yep. And reconnect the battery now. Woohoo! So, even if the phone boot loops, we can at least see if the display works. However, I'm relatively confident that it won't boot loop. Now you may say, Ryan, what's the point? What's the point? Well, I want this display to work because I want to be able to confirm that these are good displays, so I can prove that A, they're good displays, so if you get your repair done, you know that it's going to be high quality, and B, this phone needed a new battery, and look at that, the display, it turns on, it's clearly an OLED because you can see the black levels. Well, you can't, unfortunately, through the camera and the number of fingerprints, but trust me, you can tell when it's not an OLED. And the taptic engine's working, and the display appears to have normal colors. Now, obviously, the earpiece isn't working because, you know, it's on the table over here. However, touch to wake is working. I will just put in the pin for this phone. Yep. And look, it's working. I mean, auto brightness will be toasted, you know. Um, auto brightness will be absolutely toasted on this thing because um, auto brightness will be absolutely toasted because you bring the display across and you lose certain things. Face ID was already toasted on this phone. But on a phone where Face ID still works and the display is just cracked, you can bring across the earpiece speaker to make sure that functionality stays, and you can reprogram the displays to make sure that functionality just stays, assuming that the display still functions at least a bit. So there is a good chance that there is a good chance that this display repair will be able to continue without any issues on any other device that doesn't already have a broken Face ID or a broken True Tone system, sort of thing. Now, so the fact that it's working is great, considering just a few days ago this phone was completely non-functional. Like, the display was absolutely unbearable to look at, and now it is working again, which I think is absolutely great to see. The phone's working. It went from not working to now working. And once I finish the finishing touches on this phone, which won't be done on stream because they're tedious and take a long time, testing, putting the earpiece speaker back on. I mean, in future, that will be done on stream, the earpiece speaker part, and the adhesive. But just for making sure the display works and getting this phone from non-functional at all to, well, look, you can see the screen now. You can go to the camera and it cameras. I can flip around the camera. I mean, you can't really see much because, like, the display's there, but it works. It's gone from non-functional to functional, which is, in my opinion, definitely what you want to see in a repair. Um, Now, the battery, it's new, and what you will notice when you go to the battery settings is it says unknown part. Fortunately, there's nothing you can do about that with a new battery on the iPhone XS and later. However, what I can do, I mean, I could, like, you can't do anything about this, right? This is a right to repair issue, which I can do an entire stream on the right to repair issues of Face ID not coming across, True Tone not coming across, Auto Brightness not coming across, which those can be brought across, by the way. But without extra hardware, they can't be brought across. And the battery issues, like, this battery will work perfectly fine. It needs to be calibrated because it's a new battery, which we do on all battery repairs before sending them back. We calibrate the batteries because decalibrated batteries are a nightmare. But absolutely, I could do an entire stream on these issues. However, this phone went from 78% battery health to not saying it, but having 100% battery health, which is good. And the display went from not functional to functional. Like, that's a huge thing. Like, this phone went from terrible battery and not working at all to, look, you can even see here. I mean, yeah, it's not finished yet, but it's working. It went from zero function to working, and that's the goal. That was the goal, to test this display. As you can see, this display is working nicely. Yeah, so there were some setbacks. I definitely learned a lot from this stream. Um, and I hope you enjoyed it. But the display is high quality. Um, and that means this phone should soon, once I do the finishing touches, be ready to sell and available on our website, quicktechrepair.com. So, if you'd like to buy a refurbished iPhone, which will have finishing touches done on it before it's sent out to you, check in check on our website. Link is pretty much everywhere on all our socials. If you'd like to get your phone repaired, check out our website. We also do that. Um, this is a cooker, by the way. I'm sad that I didn't get to show how cool this cooker is. The first stream that involves this cooker, I will be very excited for. This thing is very fun to use. Okay, you'll see the excitement through the screen. They're great. So, thank you for tuning into this stream today. Um, I learned a lot. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm glad that this iPhone is functioning again. You know, it went